Look, talking of sticking it on, I mean, the chat really are. I mean, look at this. These that are coming in here is absolutely, it's absolutely crazy here. I mean, Wolfie, you're so popular with the chat. I mean, look, we've got Larry, we've got Drunk, we've got Stubbsy, we've got Boston, we've got Ed's Mancunian Therapy,
broad, man.
Radley, Sam, we've got
I wish I knew who these people were.
I mean, look, we've even got a super chat in, like, who dragged Wolfie by the collar before the stream. It's absolutely, mate, it is a cooking. Look, I've got to be honest with you, bro. You know, I've got love for you, but this season could end up turning into a bit of a nightmare for you now. Like, there's no trophy looking like this on the horizon. You have to now get top 5. Otherwise, there is serious conversations about this fall off. So this is absolutely now every game must be, you know, taken 100% seriously for Forest. Yesterday, if I'm honest, I watched it, and in the second half, I thought you could have actually, or should have actually, scored some more goals. Ilanga, I don't know how he's missed. That makes it 1-1. Morgan Gibbs-White needs to get his shooting boots on. I mean, obviously, the strike for the crossbar was unbelievable. It would have been a world if it went in. But the others,
you don't want to upset his new manager, innit?
Is that what it is, LB? I know,
yeah,
bro.
Of course it is. You know, see him and Pep after the game, man. Pep was like, cheers for that, mate.
Oh, I don't know.
What are you talking about, man? I've seen him miss worse than that open goal. LB, at least be honest and tell me I didn't lie to you about him.
No, you didn't. You didn't lie. No.
Thank you. He can't shoot. He just can't shoot, man. You know, there's that film, White Men Can't Jump. There's also a sequel to it called Gibbs White Can't Shoot. And it's coming soon, man. Your way, apparently, to Manchester, according to you. So he can't shoot. He's still a good player, but put him in an 8. He's not a 10. He's not a 10. And as for this chat,
another super chat. Look at this. Cook this fraud, Wolfie.
Cook him, lads.
What are they wanting me to be cooked about? I don't get it, because have you guys not been coming at me when I've said to you, I care about the league. The FA Cup is a bonus. I ain't bothered about the FA Cup. I'm in for majors, not minors. I've been consistent all year round. I need Champions League so I can get my next major. Premier League and Champions League and majors. These domestic cups, they're nice to have ones. They're bonuses. I get that, right? I've already got them, though. I've already got them. Now, I've completed football. I've told you guys plenty of times, right? Won the league, won the Champions League twice. One of only a handful of teams that have done it back-to-back. Shout out to Liverpool. They're with me on that one. But, like, once you've completed the game, man, you just aim for the top. You don't aim for the domestic competition. So, I've been consistent. I said Man City were favourites for it yesterday. Forest gave them a 45-minute head start, as we seem to have been doing these last few weeks, and they just left it to Elanga and Gibbs-White, man. The less said, the better about those shooting.
Are we letting this happen, Dan? Like, what are we hearing here?
I'm just hearing excuses. I'm hearing the fact that we've had to sit here week in, week out, and have him cook our teams every fucking week. And this time, to watch you sit, Wolfie, this is the first time I've watched you on this panel sit there silent for the first 8-9 minutes. No words, mate.
I'm planning my daughter's birthday party for tomorrow, mate. What do you want me to do?
You should have been having a party today, mate, but your players let you down. Wolfie, I want to ask you honestly, because I know behind all of this bravado, there is a football fan there like the rest of us. I know that. Are you genuinely concerned your season could end up going completely wrong here? Seriously, I'm being serious now, because if I said on Peach Channel last week, just after you went, I wanted to ask you the question. For me, I think whoever lost yesterday, it was catastrophic for the rest of the season, because it was a big game. I know you say you're all about Champions League, but I know that Nottingham Forest fans surely would have wanted to win the FA Cup. For you to go from potentially winning an FA Cup, Champions League, if this goes the way I think it could potentially go, if this has the effect on the players, you could be looking at 7th place. And that's what's that, Conference League?
Again, like, people are pushing this narrative like they did 10 days ago when we hadn't even kicked a ball. Oh, you've dropped from 3rd to 4th, from 4th to 5th. And I said, I haven't kicked a ball.
Not about that. Not about
that. It is, because you still haven't kicked a ball.
It's not about that. I'm saying, are you worried what effect this could have on the players? Because it will have an effect on the players. The players went there. Of course, they want to be FA Cup finalists.
I don't see it having an effect on the players. I mean, we went out in the Carabao Cup to Newcastle. and then we just kept winning. It didn't affect, and that was on penalties. And penalties, as Pete will agree, we were up, I think, by 1 or 2 penalties at the night. So I don't think it has an effect. I think if anything, it gives clarification and focus on what they need to do now. They don't. Nuno's been doing some rotations and things. We saw Zach Abbott coming in, who I thought played well, but he's an academy kid. There was talks, will they risk Ola Einar for the FA Cup yesterday? It looks like they've now saved him for the league. So I'm seeing my club agreeing with me on what the priorities are in terms of getting into that Champions League to, hopefully win it next year. So these are where we are. Now, can it impact a player? I think it could impact it if you've had an absolute stinker as a player, maybe cost your team the game and what have you yesterday. I don't think anyone really did. I think the tactics cost us the game yesterday. I felt that Nuno didn't set up like he did when we played them at the City ground. He set up more like when we played at the Etihad and just showed this Man City team too much respect in the first half and didn't adapt. We went 1 goal down after 2 minutes. In the 35th minute, we were still playing like it was 0-0. It wasn't until halftime where he brought Elanga on that we saw a bit of pace and a bit of width. And then you could say we should have scored, but I don't think there was all this narrative, oh, Forest got 1, they would have got 2. I didn't see it, nor was I that bothered about it. As long as we came off with no injuries to any main team players, all I care about is Thursday against Brentford. Get the 3 points there, and we're home and
I
dry.
can't believe this, man. You are like the modern fan that has bought into this Champions League narrative better than trophies, and I think it's insane.
That's not correct.
No, it is. You're literally more bothered about getting Champions League football than winning an FA Cup.
Why do I want Champions League football?
That's what you say.
Why? Well, you think you're going to win it next year.
Yeah.
Well, I fucking don't even know what to say.
How can you laugh? With all due respect, mate, you haven't got 1 yet, man. You can't sit there and laugh. I'm sitting there with the second most.
You are sitting there with the second most, but that was a long time ago.
No, you're not.
Long time ago.
Third most.
Oh, third most. Sorry, yeah.
The one thing I'll say is that it's for me, and because I remember Dan actually asking that question after you left Wolfie, so he did have that intention of asking you with regards to what Sunday would mean for either you or Man City. The thing I'm looking at now with Forest is I think looking at that game on Sunday, I think those players would have wanted that more than you're letting on, and you might not want that as much, and you might be telling us exactly how you feel, but those players could be absolutely broken because I think that they desperately wanted to win that trophy. Considering where you are in the league, and you're in a good position. In fact, you're in a great position, Wolfie, for where you are right now with 4 games to go. It's fantastic. So with that, they've already got a buffer in the Premier League. I think they would have wanted to go for that. And the thing that I think Forest will need to be worried about is the repercussions of that. Because yes, you've got a game on Thursday, but if they're still reeling from it, I said it to you, Wolfie, a couple of weeks ago, and I still maintain it. These next 2 for you are not easy. Brentford are a decent side. They're a good side. They've got good players. Away at Palace, now that they're flying after Saturday, that now becomes a much more difficult game. And I asked you this a couple of weeks ago. I said it and I maintained it. Those games are not easy. You can look at all of our games and you can say all of our games are difficult because they are. But the way you were talking a few weeks ago, thinking that this run of games were going to be quite easy in your words, I don't think they are anymore. And I think your players' mentality can change. It was what I was worried about. I was buzzing that we had Ipswich at the weekend because after that losing to Villa the way we did, I was worried that was going to have a knock-on effect. Luckily, we were able to bounce back, but I'm not sure what your players are going to respond like. So I'm really interested, actually, on Thursday to see how you respond.
But if you look at what history has shown us, and we'll just use your club, when you lost in the final to United a couple of seasons back, how did your players react?
We went on and got Champions League football.
Yeah, you won literally every game after it. You couldn't win going into that game, and then you pretty much won every game after it. So,
and then did Newcastle win the Champions League that year? Then?
But Newcastle haven't got Champions League heritage, LB. With all due
No,
respect.
they didn't win the Champions League. So you think the two stars
love
are just
Wolves.
Does that mean that if United get Europa League and we get Champions League, we're going to win it next year because we've got Champions League heritage 3 times?
Yeah, but you got shitty owners, bro.
Ah, come on, Wolfie. Come on, Wolfie.
Come on, man.
Nah,
I don't know what's happened to you.
I
don't know what's
like,
happened to you, bro.
genuinely, like I can't even really cook you, to be honest with you. But I think you've had a howler in the sense that you were happy to forego a potential FA Cup final just to cling on to Champions League. And again, the Champions League is the.
But it's not one or the other, Errol. It's not one or the other. Like these are the boys who make that narrative. Would you rather have this or this? I'd rather have both. Yeah.
Yeah, I know you'd rather have both, but ultimately the ambition should have been to win the trophy that was in front of you. You was one game away from a final, like the Champions. And again, that also.
But I haven't said throw the trophy. That's what I'm saying.
I'm not saying you have, but
when I'm asked, do you want Champions League or do you want FA Cup? I'm saying Champions League.
Your nonchalant attitude of "I'm not arsed, I don't care" could ultimately result in you getting no Champions League and then no
Which
trophy.
you actually deserve. You personally, you deserve not to get Champions League for your hell's sake. You actually deserve that, by the way.
Why?
Because, by the way, if you don't get Champions League, yeah, you're going to get cooked so much, by the way. Yeah.
And if I do, you're
still going to get cooked because
I'm going to get cooked for getting what I said would get. That makes sense.
No. Because you're saying that you're going to win the Champions League next year. That's why you're saying you want this.
Yeah. Wait, hold on. I'm not in football to make up numbers, right? Or win minor trophies. I'm here for the majors, man. I go with the ambition.
You sound just like Deji. You sound just like Deji.
The difference between me and Deji is I've already done it. I've done it.
Hold on.
Where have you been for the last 30 years?
Error. Once.
Building up towards it.
You absolutely hammer Deji week in, week out for that mentality that he doesn't want a Carabao Cup. And he doesn't want an FA Cup. He wants to win these major trophies. And you've been on this channel and you've absolutely hammered him for having that mentality.
Correct.
You're coming with and saying exactly the same thing now.
No, I'm not.
How can you do that?
No, I'm not.
Hypocritical. You can't do that.
Because the difference, Pete, is Deji is like that guy who parks up by the Ferrari showroom. And he's looking through the glass window at the Ferraris thinking, maybe one day I can have this. If I have a better manager, I can afford this Ferrari, right? I'm sitting in that seat. I've got the vintage Ferraris as well that are priceless these days, okay? So I'm sitting in that seat. I've been in that seat, okay? Granted, I wasn't born when that seat was given to me, but still, it doesn't actually matter because it happened, right? That's the difference between me and Deji. I can ask for stuff that I've already had. He's still on a wish list of having these things. And I've done it twice. Actually, Pete, you're next to him in that freaking glass looking in, man. What are you talking about? You haven't got a Champions League.
But I'm not the one that's saying it.
He didn't say the stupid thing of he don't want a trophy over getting.
Okay,
coming for me for no reason.
All right. So, Pete, let me ask you this: do you want Newcastle?
You're saying the same as what Deji's saying.
Wait, Pete. Okay. Let me ask you a simple question.
Hold on. You could come to me all you want about Champions League. I'm not the one saying that we're going to go out and win it. I'm not the one that's saying that. I'm not the one that's using heritage from before I was born as a backup to why I only want Champions League football. I'm not saying that. So you could come to me to make yourself.
Do you want Newcastle to get top 5?
Is that you are acting just like Deji, so you can't go for Deji and you can't laugh and point the finger at him when you're.
All right, let me ask you simple. Do you want top 5 for Newcastle this season?
Yeah, absolutely.
Why? Because it qualifies for Champions League.
Absolutely.
Okay. Do you want your team to win the Champions League next season?
Of course, that's why we're in it. But what I want.
Welcome to my side of the debate. Welcome.
But the thing about it is, twice you've said when LB's asked the question, is that you genuinely think that you're going to go on and win the Champions League. I don't believe that. I want my team to win it.
So what's the point in your team turning up? You're just making up the numbers.
To compete in the best competition.
To compete. So you want a participation trophy. Now we're getting under the skin of it, Pete.
Now
we're getting under the skin of it.
Not at all. I want to compete in the best competition possible. There are other factors that I've talked about on this show for 2.5 years of why I want Newcastle now to play Champions League football. Is that it's part of the development of the club.
Okay. So why is it so so taboo for me to want to believe that my team can win it next year? Because if I sat here with you last season when Forest was 17th and I said, do you know what? Forest are going to compete for top 5 next year. You guys would be saying the exact same thing, replacing the word Champions League with top 5. So I don't understand why you guys think you have the hindsight into what's happening next year when you couldn't even get this year right. Because none of you predicted Liverpool would win the league, by the way.
We've moved the conversation. My argument with you was about you downplaying domestic trophies. That was my issue with you. You were downplaying domestic trophies.
One, I haven't downplayed it. I said it's not my priority.
Or minor trophies.
They are minor trophies.
Not long ago, you were talking about you wanted to win. Now you're not in them. You're saying they're minor. That was my issue with you.
I've never, ever changed my stance on the domestic trophies.
Wolfie, my argument with you is not the fact that you're saying you're going to want to go on and win Champions League football. My initial argument with you was the fact that you questioned Deji for downplaying Carabao and FA Cups, but you're doing exactly the same now. But
I did not. Wait, no, I never said that to Deji. I never said that. No, that's not true. I've never said that to Deji. I've said he's deluded for thinking he could do a treble. I've said that. I've never said he's not wrong for calling them minor cups because I agree with him.
For thinking you can win the Champions League next year, though.
You can call it deluded, and yeah, it is. Maybe you think it's a deluded take, but again, unless you can tell me you predicted Liverpool to win this season and Forest to finish in the top 5, you can't tell me what's going to happen next year.
Did you predict Forest to finish in the top 5 this year?
I predicted Forest 8th and Liverpool to win the league.
So even you didn't think Forest was finishing the top
exactly,
5.
But I'm pretty sure my prediction of where Forest are, where I predicted them, is closer than where you predicted them.
That's fine. But let's keep it though, right? LB, how long have City been geared up to win a Champions League? Like seriously, like you look at that team and think,
probably
I would look at that and want them to go be serious.
Probably since 2012.
So probably since 2012. In that time, again, no shots. How many Champions Leagues have you won?
1.
There we go. So Wolfie, and that's a club that has built itself for that sole purpose. They could walk the league every year if they just wanted to and just have the league on lock. But they wanted to spread
I just don't get why you guys don't like fans dreaming about winning stuff. I don't get it.
You could have won the FA Cup and you were dreaming about getting the Champions League.
Oh, I know I don't need to dream because we've done it. I get that, right? But you guys don't even know what transfer window I've had. One, you don't even know if I've qualified for it in the first place, right? If I just went and bought freaking Bellingham and Gyökeres and a couple of defenders in the summer, so would your outlook change on Forest winning the Champions League? Who knows? No, it wouldn't. So Forest going by the world's best 11 players, whoever you think they are, you still think Forest couldn't win the Champions League. That says everything then. That says everything. It's like you guys are predicting what's going to happen next year before we've even got into that season.
No, of course.
And I'm sitting there as a fan saying my aspirations next year, if we qualify for Champions League, for my club to get their 3rd star. And that is like,
and bro,
wow.
Should be, bro, no, it's not even that. That's a wow. That should be. But what I'm saying to you is you were prepared to forego in the moment trophies that will still get you into Europe.
Not Champions League.
Not Champions League, but still get you into Europe. Probably, if we're being realistic, at a level that you're going to be far more positioned to be more competitive at in the first instance. And like I said, I've watched Manchester City, who have been over the last course of 10 years, go back to 2012, the best team in this country at times for a long period, struggled to get over the line in the Champions League, and they've only managed to do it once.
Because they had no heritage in it, bro.
But they've had to work for that heritage. But you're saying heritage, though, right? So again, understand this: Man City might not have had the heritage, but there was a good crop of those Manchester City players with Pep, with other managers that had Champions League experience and went deep into the Champions League. You'd be hard pressed to find 5 Forest players that have played more than 3 or 4 Champions League games.
I got one who's already won it.
Pardon?
I've got a player in my squad right now who's already won it.
Let me ask this then. Who's that, by the way?
Oh, what, me? Or the Echo?
Yeah, who's the player who's already won it?
Oh, Callum Hudson-Odoi.
I thought it was Hudson-Odoi. Let me ask you this then, Wolfie. The unthinkable happens. You get Champions League football. It's not unthinkable, to be fair. I think a lot of people think you might get it, right? What's the minimum expectation for you in that competition then, Champions League? Where's the minimum expectation for you to get?
Me or the
It has
club?
to be to win it. It has to
Me
be
or
to
the
win it.
club?
Has to be to win it. Based on Wolfie's logic.
Yeah, my expectation, I'm in every competition to win it.
Apart from the FA Cup.
Apart from the FA Cup.
No, I was again, you're spinning what I said. Remember, LB, the question was, would I rather Champions League or the FA Cup? Not do you want to win the FA Cup? That's a different question, right? Surely you can acknowledge that.
Why didn't you say both?
I did. Run the tapes back. There's literally a super chat when we were doing Dan's show on Thursday asking that question. I said both, but if you hold a gun to my head, I want Champions League over FA Cup. It's been my stance. I don't know why that's such a crazy stance. I don't know why I'm not allowed to pick a competition where I think we can then go on and progress more than winning an FA Cup to get into a Europa League, which is prized at the end if you win it on getting the Champions League. Well, what I'm doing is skipping 2 steps, just like Forest have done over the last 2 years. That's what I'm doing. Skip that Europa League step, go into the Champions League. That's all I'm saying. If Forest don't go and win it, okay, I don't care. We got in there as long as we try and win it, that's fine. But I'm not here to make up the numbers in the Champions League. And my stars say that.